I looked at the word whistleblower and I picked it up. It is blowing around in the street somewhere. But it's an 80-page magazine.
80?
Yeah, 80. And it's got a lot, 80, you can see that. It's got a lot of religious things on it, but it's also full of information about whistleblowers. So you may want to check, it's only had one petition. Yeah. So you may want to check it out and photograph it or something.
Who publishes that then?
I don't know. Do we want to promote it until we publish it? A lot of
it's religious.
It is, but there's actually.
Oh, here it is. Oh, you can get a digital copy.
Ah, well I might take a photo of that.
We'd like people to nominate him for Australian of the Year and the Nobel Peace Prize. That would be Welcome to the 245th Julian Assange Sydney Town Hall gathering. Julian Assange is no longer in prison, but the principle that we should all be able to freely publish information when publishing that information is in the public interest is continuing to undergo a merciless assault. David McBride, the former military lawyer, is doing time in prison for revealing that Australia was conducting its war in Afghanistan in disregard of both the rule of law and the rules of military engagement. David wanted to demonstrate that war crimes were being covered up for political reasons rather than for the purpose of protecting people's lives. In David's court case, his public interest activities of informing the public were deemed indefensible, and David was sentenced to 5 years and 8 months imprisonment for revealing criminality he wasn't permitted to reveal. Another whistleblower, Richard Boyle, faces the possibility of a 161-year prison sentence for his preparatory activities in making important public interest disclosures concerning the Australian Taxation Office. We have laws and a judiciary that makes it impossible for the corrupt activities of governments to be disclosed to the public. To have a say in our governance, we need to be able to communicate what we know to each other. If the citizens of a nation are not permitted free speech, they can't possibly have a true democracy. If the only opinions we are permitted are those that comply with the narrow spectrum of debate deemed admissible by those who hold power, then our democracy is nothing more than a facade, and we should all be aware of it so that we can act appropriately to rectify the situation. We all need to make greater efforts to understand how the world really works. It is impossible for honest and decent human beings to rise to the top of the political power game, given what we know from the journalism of Julian Assange. If we can concentrate our efforts on developing our understanding of how the world truly works, we will be better able to resist oppression. Our understanding of how the world really works will have an impact on how we can resist tyranny and oppression. Thinking that the way to overcoming oppression involves backing a leader is a fundamental mistake when we realise that democracy is a facade. We have been making this mistake for many, many years, and the oppression just gets more and more intense. Pleading with politicians to be reasonable and kind in the hope that human decency will prevail is another fundamental mistake. As long as we attribute power to those who oppress us, we continue to give power to those who oppress us. The secret is to attribute power to ourselves. The way to overcoming oppression is through the building of conscious unity. Consciousness occurs through our commitment to learning and sharing the truth. We must all be aware of the counterproductive tactic of assigning left and right labels to our political choices. Left and right labels are a psychological trick that can only divide us and undermine our united strength. Our strength arises from the fact that we are all on the same side. We can all benefit from greater peace, justice, and freedom. We must always remain independent and be immune to propaganda that has the potential to divide us. We must be careful to base our decisions on the truth. Truth brings us peace and unity. Peace and unity are the path to true democracy and freedom. We always need to stay with the truth. The commitment of Julian Assange supporters to telling the truth proved successful in helping to free Julian. We must continue the fight, even though Julian is no longer in prison, because our world is still largely controlled by deception and coercion. We still need to question all the media and all the politicians. We must free our minds and think for ourselves. Join the fight for real freedom by engaging with reality rather than with the fiction of the mainstream media. Thank you, Julian Assange, for your great courage. In a corrupt system, communication of important truth always requires courage. Freedom is good, but only when we are all truly free will we be able to know what true freedom truly is. We can all continue the work of Julian Assange by helping each other to learn the truth. Free, free, free the truth. Free, free, free the truth. Free, free, free the truth.
You know, sometimes life can really suck. But on the other side, these kind of things can happen.
When I was was here last, I don't know if you got her on camera, that lady in the white puffer jacket. I was here until 10 o'clock speaking to her last week. She is the most amazing woman. She's the 68-year-old Estonian who came here as a 33-year-old who's in the Supreme Court every week.
Wow.
She knows the Supreme, how to do lodgements in the Supreme Court, and then she's been in the High Court on her own, self-taught lawyer, and she's there every week.
Wow.
And she gave me the advice, because the sheet that I provided was an overarching one when dealing with the police who come here and say, you have to be registered to be here, if not we'll issue you some sort of a $200 fine based on what you put up here, etc., etc. She says, yes, overarching, you focus on the Constitution to fight off the police to being here, but they're running off the Leper Act. And she said, if you focus on their policies and procedures, under those policies and procedures, we have the right to be here based on New South Wales laws. Yes, overarching laws, the Australian Constitution, but New South Wales laws under the procedures of New South Wales, what the procedures and policies that the New South Wales police use, we are allowed to be doing what we've been doing for 260 odd plus days, what we are doing here. And added to the constitutional stuff that I had provided, that we are here discoursing politics. Not only that, but we are within our grounds to be here based on the policies and procedures of what the police use with regards to protests, rallies, etc. So in the next 1 to 2 years, if there is a roundabout that appears in Bondi Junction, in the centre of Bondi Junction, where you have the main intersection, where you have the roads intersecting, where you have the individuals who go out to cars when the lights stop, and they wash people's windows. In the next 1 to 2 years, if that stops and there's some sort of a traffic barrier, whether it be around or some sort of installation of some traffic regulation there, you have to have her to thank for it. Unbelievable lady. The most unbelievable lady I've ever met. That's why I was here for 5 hours speaking to her. And wow. I don't even know her name, but she says she comes here on and off.
Yeah.
She knows, self-taught in law, and appears in the Supreme Court or the District Court pretty much every week. And during COVID, she was basically asking the police to fine her $1,000 because she was happy to take that to the Supreme Court. She had an argument for not having to be have any sort of forced injection. She had the argument down pat and was basically saying to the police, rightio, give me $1,000, and she did not receive a $1,000 fine during that COVID, and she was happily walking around catching the buses and whatever all over Sydney. So there you go. I came here to stop off to talk about. I was in the process of printing it out and doing a little package of the monthly. The August issue of the monthly that was issued on the 31st of July, where it has Julian Assange on the front cover with the back of his head saying, "What's next?" And just to coming here and complimenting you that you'd already started several weeks before, after the exploits of Julian Assange, and as the monthly points out, looking at other whistleblowers.
We do need to understand how the world works. So rather than getting, like choosing somebody who we think, a politician who we think is going to stand for us, because even if they genuinely are standing for us, they won't be able to rise in the system to be able to do anything. So we have to understand it's all corrupt.
Yeah.
And that we can act as individuals to do something. Yeah. And we can act, and just by spreading the knowledge like this lady, we don't have to put up with the crap.
And just takes the government
because we just feel,
agencies to court.
Oh, police officer, let's move away from here. That's how we tend to.
In Australia.
Yeah.
This subservience that we get from Britain. because we are, after all, could probably consider it as a colony. But the mentality here is a colonial mentality where we bow down to authority. That's why we still hear the reverence of Ned Kelly. That's why he's still reverence, because he existed in a period of martial law, 1770 to 1901. That period, you had over 20 plus years, not consecutively, but in that period about 20 years of martial law where a policeman or a New South Wales Corps or whoever was the armed authority at the time could go up to a person, be judge, jury, executioner, and you could die right there because they choose. Now that changed with the introduction of our constitution, but that mentality till today, the regard for law enforcement has remained, and that's, we don't. The bottom line: do we choose of these committees that choose the heads of these departments, whether it's police, ASIO? Normal people are not involved in those committees. So ultimately, the Police Commission of New South Wales is chosen by an unknown committee of people who ultimately give him or her directions to say, this is how you should treat the people of New South Wales. The citizen of New South Wales should be treated X, Y, and Z, and we want you to apply X, Y, and Z laws to correct them or to control them in such a way. We've never had involvement. I say that's wrong. No committee, those people who elect the commissioner or whoever the heads of department are, should be known, and we should know what the agenda they are putting to electing said government officials. Will the Republic do that? Our current constitutional monarchy doesn't do that. Our state Parliament doesn't do that. It's all underground, sight unseen. Hear no evil, see no evil, do know nothing. You don't need to know nothing. Understand your station and continue with your routine. Eat, sleep, work, repeat.
The rich man in his castle, the poor man at the gate. God made them high and lowly and ordered their estate.
Yes.
And that was one of the verses of all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all.
That is wrong. And the state of democracy, when you look at the major magazines, where is liberalism today? What is the state of democracy? Not only in America, but throughout worldwide, wherever they say democracy exists, why are there question marks and problems and asterisks as to the issues of it? It's because it's not, as Julian Assange has pointed out, and it revealed through WikiLeaks, there's a lot of undercurrent, underground, under the carpet, unseen stuff that's going on that we should know about. Now he's done his job. Now we've got to come up with a strategy to make structures, procedures and policies that have all the stuff that he talked about open in the air. Because that's what he's revealed, but then once that revelation came out, all subsequent dealings with governments went back inside their Pandora's box, their closed box. It's got to be reopened again, but it's got to be a strategy. We don't need another Julian. He's done his job. We just need to get people, just a change in government, the people who, you'll never see in Australia an anti-American party or an anti-police party or an anti-institutional party, whether it be your Jackie Lambys or your Teal independents. They'll never go against any institutional structures. You've got to see people who are willing to go and stand for going up against the institution, whether it be the police or what have you, whatever institution that's here, having the balls to go up against them and do something about it. We've got the local government elections coming up. Why not see somebody who's saying, if I'm going to be a councillor I'm going to be elected a councillor at a local council, I'm willing to sit in these council meetings, have a look at the information. If it's wrong information, I'm willing to take that council bureaucracy to court because they're not doing their job for the people that have voted me in as councillor. Not that I'm going to be buddying up with them and just spreading their the media releases that they want, that the citizens of whatever local government area want to hear as their mouthpiece. No, there's a separation between you being elected as a councillor, representing the people, and going up, if the bureaucracy is wrong, going up against it. And the proof on my side is, look at all these commissions into the councils that have been put into administration. We haven't learned what the council that have been amalgamated or put into administration, we haven't learned anything from there. Because it's a continuation of, since the first maladministrated council that was put into administration, how many years since have been put in? Just like the Indigenous Royal Commission into Indigenous deaths in custody. That was back in the 80s, and we still haven't learned from that. So it's all intertwined and linked, but you got to have somebody to stand up, just like the main character in Les Miserables. The leader who came out from that I won't name him, but the bloke who was made mayor of Paris, but never put his hand up because the people went in and said, we want this guy in. He never chose it, and they made him mayor of Paris. One of the main characters in Les Miserables. The Miserables. That's the type of person that we need. Not chosen, but people doesn't go through the process of anything, but is then people puts his.
If we could just have the Senate being picked like a jury, that would be a hell of a good thing. But how do we get there? But at least if we knew that that was an option that we wanted.
It is an option. That's right. It's never been an option.
No.
Never. Not in any democracy. I don't know of any democracy.
Well, apparently in the ancient Greek,
the beginning of the beginning of the beginning,
they had this idea called sortition, which was, I don't know that it ever happened, but there was the idea, because Somerset Bean mentioned it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it's
people gathering in a room, putting their point of view, and then having people in that room put their hands up.
Someone like Aristotle, probably Aristotle, said, if you want oligarchs, have what we got, voting.
Yeah.
But if you want real democracy, you have sortition, which means nobody can control that. It's just random selected like a jury.
Yeah.
Well, there could be some kind of funny business in the picking of who's on the jury, but we've got more chance with that, I think.
Yeah. I think that was a party that came in. It wasn't a secular. It was a party that ran for the election, but their members were fixed. But each of the whatever decisions that it came up in the House of Representatives of the Senate, they were willing to put that on the internet, just like Deep Blue, the whole chess tournament where you had the world beat Garry Kasparov, that type of thing where people can go on the internet and issue by issue that's raised in the Senate or the House of Representatives, they vote on the internet, and that person that's there in the House of Representatives sees the results of that internet poll, and then he votes. I don't think that party never got up. But it's a registered party. But it's this mentality that we have here of the Liberal and Labour, the two, let's say the Americans, Democrat, Republican. That's got to be broken. That's and all of their proxies as well, who say we're independent, but they're really part of those parties. You've got to figure, But nobody has time to go back a house and look at the backgrounds of any of these people that are running for local council, state government or federal government, where they've come from.
Yeah, I think so. We're backing these up.
We are all Assange.